What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the locker room. I'm your host and your favorite Kansas City girl, Kennedy Bright. And as always, what is said in the locker room stays in the locker room. Get your playbooks ready, guys. This week's episode, I'm going to talk about, do you believe in the right person at the right time, or do you believe in the right person at the wrong time? You guys know that saying. And for the longest, I don't think I really ever honestly had a full opinion on it, but I've kind of came to the end of my conclusion of what I believe about it. A friend and I, we have had this talk before about the two, but I will say I'm Christian. So some of my beliefs do come from God and just kind of the things I'm learning and experiencing with Him. The reason I want to talk about this topic today is because it's something that's kind of been speaking to me. It's something that I've been dealing with myself, and I feel like it could possibly help others, prevent them from going through just more heartache and pain that I've gone through. And one of the things that I wanted to create this podcast was to share things with others. As I've said before, I'm the oldest of my siblings, and my cousins are all like way older than me. So I've never really grown up with like anyone older than me that was close to me to where, I could talk to them about different kind of things like this and they could share their lives with me and advice they have. So I always kind of want to be that older big sister, to those that need it and just sharing what I've gone through. So there's always, we've heard of the saying, do you believe in the right person, wrong time, right person, right time, like just different things like that. And if you would have asked me this question in different phases of my life, then I would give you completely different answers probably every single time. And so maybe right now I believe this and maybe my opinion will change later, but I think at this point I've really kind of came up with like my solid viewpoint and my solid answer. I think a lot of times what we hear in the world kind of shapes what we believe when it comes to this answer of, do we believe in the right person, wrong time? Okay. We hear different things, if it's not now, then never. We want to force things to fit into our life. Or we hear there is no such thing as right person, wrong time, because if they meant something to you, you'd always make time, you would make them fit. And honestly, screw you, because now the point that I'm at in my life, which I'll get into, yeah, no, like that's bullcrap. Okay. You can't, someone can't force and make room for someone in their life if they don't even have room for themselves in their life. So you also have to factor that in. We hear the things like people come when you least expect it. So we think because we're not expecting it, then every person that comes fits. As you know, this is, of course, a sports podcast. I talk about athletes. And one of the things I would say, I've always said before that athletes do not count. The same rules you would use for everyday men, you honestly cannot use for athletes just because their requirements of their career and their life and their jobs is completely different than a regular man. So I will say you definitely can't use these categories or use these worldly things that we say on earth as something to fit into when dealing with the athlete, because a lot of times they could be going through a lot and not really have time, to deal with you right now based off of whatever's going on. And so I think a lot of times we hear these things that people post on Twitter and we hear on maybe a TikTok or whatever. If he wanted to, he would. We hear these things and we want to force and fit all of them into our personal narratives without actually sitting back and thinking about, like, does this really apply to my life? The first thing I can suggest, I am a Christian if you did not know that. So, of course, I will be talking about God here, is knowing the difference in between God's voice and the devil's voice, which can be very hard. I'm gonna tell you, it can be difficult because it wasn't until I saw something, I can't remember, a while ago, and it was like, you have to remember that the devil hears your prayers as well. And I was like, oh my God, that's very scary, to know that someone who is of evil can also hear the things that you're saying and wanting, God, the good to hear. And so the first thing was like for me distinguishing between the two, knowing when it's God and knowing when it's the devil, especially when we're talking about the different sayings that I hear people go about in the world. I will say I have an easy cheat sheet. My dad's actually he's a minister. He's been one my whole life. He's ordained, so it's kind of easy for me to go to him with like just different questions easily, like right when I hear this, like, is this really true? Is this what the Bible says? Like that. So like I said, I do have a cheat sheet, but I still have to like believe it in myself. Before we get into that part, what happened to me is it wasn't until I really got to the phase I'm in my life right now, for me to even think about that it's possible to notice a difference between God and the devil. Okay. I think about that. People say that about like your anxiety, things like that. That's the devil. God doesn't give us the fear. I've heard about different parts in my life about knowing the difference between God and the devil, but I never got to the point of knowing about it in like my love life, I would say, until recently. I talked about this in a past episode. I'm at a point in my life where I'm done with guys, anything. I just kind of am very like, don't look at me, don't talk to me, don't touch me, right? And that just comes with, I'm just fed up. I'm tired. I want to work on myself. I want to get some things figured out. And I think once you go through enough shit, you get to that point where you're like, I'm done. Once I got to this phase, and a lot of times I was kind of forcing different like relationships with guys and just talking to, like, just irritated, right? Looking for what everyone and my friends and everyone said I should have. And honestly, I was super like over it. Now that I'm at a place in my life where I don't want anything to do with anyone and guys will come my way, then I had to deal with the question. Because the world tells us like the guy will come when you least expect it, when you're not looking for him, and yada 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 yada. That's when he approaches you, right? So then I started thinking like, oh, maybe this is the guy that's coming. And then I have to just think about the difference between the two. Me and the devil have faced each other off plenty of times, in times when like I was in high school or be in college and I say that I was done with guys and a guy would have come my way and I'd be like, oh my God, maybe God sent this person, right? Like, oh my God, he wants me to be with this person because I said I wasn't looking and this person came and found me. And after now realizing how many terrible situations I've been in, no, clearly that's not God. And I finally got to a point where I realized like now that it's the devil. And the reason I got there was because when I tell you, I don't, I can't believe I'm about to say this out loud, but I'm literally so broken right now in my life. I'm so tired, drained, devastated. Usually, even when I'm like super depressed and going through a lot, I usually still like crave like affection from another person and want to be with someone. No, not this chapter in my life, this phase in my life, this season of my life. I want no one. I don't have any type of brain capacity to even get to know someone's favorite color right now. Okay, I don't care who you are. I'm trying to think of a celebrity crush I have. I don't really have one, but if I had a celebrity crush, LeBron James, for instance. LeBron James, if he was like never married and stuff, could come my way and I'd be like, thank you so much. As a man I've been in love with since I was 6. And I'd be like, I just can't right now. I can't right now. That is how drained I am. And so it took me getting to like this point in my life when like I'm talking to God a lot. And I'm like, God, I'm so lost in areas of like my career. I'm lost in areas of my family, my personal. Like I'm just lost in a lot of areas that I have no ability to get to know or no room to talk to anyone else. That I have to sit back and think, this is so weird. If God knows how damaged I am right now, how broken I am, why would He be sending me somebody? Why would He? He knows I have no room. He knows that at the most, all I'm going to do is end up hurting this person in the end, one of His children. And He doesn't want us hurting each other. So why would He send this person? That was when the minute that I learned, wow, wait a second. It's not just God that hears, your prayers and hears what you want or what you need. It's also the devil. Okay. And the minute like had that revelation and woke up, it made so much sense. It started clicking a lot of the things. And I'm the kind of person, pretty much every guy that magically appeared in my life that I now completely hate, excuse me, guys, I'm not supposed to hate, that I strongly despise. Like, I don't even, you say their name to me, I'm like, I don't know who that person is. Like, that's how much they're dead to me. Was always the ones that I didn't even approach first. It just came my way. And I look back, I think about it, I'm like, oh, that's because he came from the devil. Like he let the devil use him. No, that's why I really don't like him versus a guy who I did like and I approached myself and things just didn't work out. There's a complete difference between the two. Okay. And that was when I kind of discovered and realized the difference in God and the devil's voice. And it's kind of hard, but one of the things that I say to my friends is how the person approaches you is going to tell you right then if God sent him or if it was the devil. Okay. What he's asking of you, if he approaches you with like manners, with respect, then clearly, that's obviously might be from God. He still could be a wolf in sheep clothing, do not get me wrong, but it could possibly be from God. And then you have the ones that approach you the wrong way. They're all aggressive, asking for pictures, like anything like that. If they're approaching you that way, that's not from God. I'm telling you, that is not a man that God is sending your way. We all have things we need to work on. Do not get me wrong. We all are broken in some way, shape, or form, and we're not all perfect. So clearly, we have things that we have to work on. I'm not saying that everyone's going to be perfect, but there's just certain ways, like certain things, just, we're grown. If we're not asking for nudes and things like that. So I'm sorry. If you're just going to know, you're going to be like, what the hell? What the hell? What did you just say to me? Like, it's not God. God did not send that crazy man to you. Okay. And so you kind of have to just realize the approach and how they came to you and how they came in your life. The next thing that I realized, and I was talking to my parents about it because I was starting to feel insane about this topic, was why would God send me someone if I say, all right, I'm working on myself, I'm focusing on myself? Why would he send me someone? And the reason I say that is because God is the only person, only thing, anything in this world who can literally see everything about us, our mind, our thoughts, our pain. He feels what we feel. He know, like, when I tell you that I am so done, I can't handle anything else. I can't handle any more heartbreak. I can't handle anything. Everything we feel, God feels it like 10 times. So if God's feeling all this that Kennedy is feeling, even worse than I am, why would he send me someone into my life where possibly things can go worse and things can go bad and make my life worse? And the reason I say that is, no, of course God can have this someone for us, and us as humans having free will, we can not do what we're supposed to and mess it up, of course. But what I'm saying is, if I'm not equipped to handle it, it's not worth it. To me, I think of it like a battle, right? Yes, you can go in a war and you still can die even though you're completely trained, right? But if you going into, war, and you've been trained, you went to basic training in the military, whatever they've trained you, there can be a less likely chance, that you'll end up dead or whatever, because you have techniques that you learn and tactics and things like that. That's why you go to training and everything. That's not to say it's not a guarantee that you won't get, wounded in the battlefield. But the point is, your sergeant, and they're not going to send you out there ill equipped. Okay. It's the same difference to me right now in my life. God knows I have no equipment, no backup plan. I have nothing to keep me from going down a more depressive spiral if I deal with more heartbreak in my life. Therefore, he's not going to send me someone, rather they're for me good, they're bad, whatever. If he knows that right now, Kennedy is right. Even when we need to work on ourselves, he's not gonna send nobody, right? But when I'm going to him, telling him I need help, I'm struggling, I'm going through a lot in my life, this man is not sending anyone. And a friend of mine, we kept going back and forth about this. And she just thinks that, like, oh, you shouldn't shut yourself off from anyone, just because you never know who God has for you. And I'm like, that's not how God works. I'm telling you right now, this man above us knows what I'm going through day in and day out with just my everyday normal life. Okay. He's not sending anyone. And that is something that we have to understand. He knows better than us what we need. Trust me, people in the world want to fool you and let you think that God's doing this. He's not sending that person for you. So whoever's showing up, they're coming from the devil. I'm telling you right now. Because you need to focus. You need to deal with yourself. And the reason I don't really like speaking openly on certain things about God, not like my faith, I'm fine about my faith, but my viewpoint on like what I'm saying right now, is because your faith is something that can't really be fact checked. Like, I can't say this and then we go ask God ourselves. I mean, technically we can ask him, but the thing is, if you still don't have a good discernment between his word and the devil, you're gonna get an answer. It just won't be God's voice. And you have to be at a place to understand hearing God's voice. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm at a place, I'm not really good at that yet, but I'm trying to get there, and that's what I'm working on. And they say, like, if you want to hear God's voice, move from worldly things and just different things like that. But that is something that I'm working on. And that's just my view on knowing the difference between God and the devil. Because if not, the devil will have you in circles and have you thinking plenty of things. And there are plenty of things who go against God's will and things still good do come out for them. That's great. From my experience, that has not really been the case. Okay. Now, as we get into the right person, the right time, I've already given you my viewpoint on it from giving it to you from my faith based side. But I think that the right person at the wrong time is very true. And I don't think until you're on the other end of that statement that you also will get it. Let's say you're not a religious person or you still don't feel me that way. My thing is, I feel like I'm the right person for a lot of people. I'm great, okay? But it is the wrong time for me. I don't have any room to give to anyone. I don't have time to text anyone. I don't have time to talk on the phone, to go on dates, to get to know you, to give someone the respect that they deserve and the commitment they deserve in a relationship. I don't have room for that right now in my life. I feel like I am the right person for them. I'm a great person. I have good qualities. Um, but I have flaws also that can keep from someone seeing my good qualities. And so I believe right now I'm not that person, but as I'm continuing on this journey, working on myself, healing and dealing with different things and getting closer to God and moving into a healthier place with myself, then it can be the right time. Okay. But that doesn't mean I'm not the right person just because it's not right now. There's someone who I've met in life, and I genuinely do think that that is my right person, but wrong time. Okay. And honestly, it could come to a huge point in my life where that's not the person. But as of now, I technically do. And I feel like they're the right person, but it is 1,000% the wrong time for both of us. We both have things that we need to work on. We both have things that we need to deal with to be better for one another, and not just for us, but for ourselves. Okay. And I feel like I can really, be this, or that. Like I can hit all these bullet points with this person and be this in their life. But right now, I cannot be that in his life at all because I have so much that I want to work on. Even though right now I have 5 things that are good, I got about 10 things I want to work on to add to that 5 to make the list of 15. And I don't think it's fair because a lot of times if you try to be with someone when you're not ready, when you try to be with someone while you're still healing, when you try to be with someone while you're not, ready yet, you end up hurting them worse and then you just scratch it off. I don't That's the last thing I want to do is forcing it with that person and then boom, messing it up later because I tried to force it and it wasn't I wasn't ready yet and I tried to make it the right time. The thing that we always talk about is it's not our time, it's God's timing, right? That's a big thing as Christians that everyone discusses. But yet we make things our time, right? My friend and I, we had the same debate. And she's like, well, it's not our time, it's God's time. So just because you say you don't want to be with anyone right now or whatever, it's God's timing, it's not your timing. And I'm like, girl, like I said before, if God knows what I'm dealing with right now, he knows it worse than I do. He sees the future more than I can't see the future. He knows it is not, it's not it. It's not it. Okay. God knows when the time is right. Okay, I promise you. And so right now it's not the time. So I do believe in the right time. The right time is God's time. And sometimes right now isn't it. I do believe that you can meet people and because of worldly actions and choices that you make, boom, then you can make the time not right. Okay. The person that I'm referring to, I met them at a time in my life when I really needed to meet them. But because of just other things, other choices that I made in my life, my own personal life and stuff that wasn't in regards to them, created more friction in my life, created just a lot of different things, right? And it just continued to make the time not right for us. Okay. I don't know if that part makes sense, but the point is we have free will. And so whatever choices we choose to make can make it not our time. And I think until we get right back on track with what God wants and his will, the timing can't be correct. From this experience of feeling like I've already met this person, and one of the scary things is I've watched him change in a good way. Okay. And I realized as I was talking to my sister this week, I haven't yet. I'm still the same person. I'm still doing the same things and I'm still reacting the same. And although I've said I want to change and I said I want to work on these things, not just for him, but for myself, because those things I need to work on would just matter regardless. For Kennedy, as my own mental health and my own self, for any guy that's out there, for anyone, it is not just, for him. I want to make that straight. But the point is, I need to work on these things. And I realized this week that I am being the same person, I'm reacting the same way, and it's only making my life more difficult. So I wanted to really take a step into really figuring out, okay, Kennedy, if you want this person that you believe is right, or you want to just even just be a part of the right time, find that timing that's good for you and God that you guys both agree on. You got to work, okay? I'm 25 now, and I keep saying, like, oh my God, I don't want to be waiting until I'm 30, or I don't want to wait until I'm 40, whatever. I feel until we continue to work on ourselves and do what we need to do to align with what God wants and healing and fixing ourselves to where God thinks we're ready, we have to remember God cares about all his people and he doesn't want any of us hurting one another. Okay. So until I am healing and doing what I need to do, you don't have to be like healed. I've accepted the fact that I don't think I'd be 100% ever healed. I feel like I'm always going to be one that needs to be in therapy and always constantly working through things, but just at a place where I can have good, mature, open conversation with another person and I'm not using my pain to hurt them. I think until I get there in my life, God doesn't, isn't going to line me up with someone else. So, what I'm trying to say is the longer that I prolong this healing, that I prolong the help, that I prolong moving forward in my life, God's going to keep prolonging me meeting whoever this person is, even if it's not the person that I've already met. You know what I'm saying? God's going to keep prolonging what's happening to me. God's going to prolong me having that special moment. But you know who's not going to prolong it? The devil. I'm going to line up with somebody, all right? Don't worry. I'm going to be with someone. It just might not be someone who's good for me. It might not be something that is well for me, okay? And that's where the problem is. I don't want to be in a place where I leave enough room for the devil just to bring anyone in my life, okay? Because he can. I could meet somebody and I'd be like, oh my God, I met someone. The thing is, I could meet someone, right? And get married, everything. But the point is, it's not who God sent, so it's not going to be the same. I want to meet who God has for me. And right now, I'm not in a place. I know that for a fact. God ain't even got to tell me, God, I know I'm not in a place, okay? But we both know, he and I, that I am not in a place. And if I want to meet someone who is good for me, who is the right person for me, and in God's time, at the right time, I got to continue to work on myself. And the thing is, I believe in talk to my dad about it, Minister Bright. And we were discussing it that honestly, if that person is for you, you can meet up with them later in life and it happened. Okay. You've changed. You worked on yourself. You've healed. You've fixed those toxic traits that you two had together. But it takes, both of you truly aligning in order for it to happen again. And that is the place that I want to get in. I want to be in a place where he and I meet up with each other and it's right. I keep we keep having this friction of running into each other and it's always like it's a buzz, it's like a magnet. We try to push each other together, you try to push a magnet together and it won't go. That's the kind of friction we always get. It's like, wait, but we should work, but we're not. And it's because we haven't got the combination yet. We haven't fixed ourselves yet. We haven't dealt with it yet. Okay. And we have to do that in order for it to truly just mesh, you know? I don't know if that example made sense or not, but I don't want that feeling of two magnets going together anymore. I want to be with something where it just sticks. And I feel like until we do our parts, it's not going to stick. And the thing that I realized this past week was that he's working on becoming something that sticks, and I haven't changed at all. And that was kind of a scary revelation I had with my sister. Like, oh my goodness, you're right. Like, I'm still the same person. I'm still doing the same traits. I'm still doing the same things. I told my friends back like last fall, I'm gonna work on myself. So when he gets here for off season, I'm gonna be different. And I've changed nothing. And my sister literally said to me, Kennedy, you do know, like, you literally make terrible impressions. Like, you literally have not changed at all. She said something like that, shitting on me, okay? But I needed to hear it because it was true and I felt bad and I had to apologize to him because my actions and my reactions to him were honestly the same. And I'm like, God, like, I'm so sorry because I've known it. I've been saying I was going to work on myself. But what I realized was just not talking to any guys at all isn't healing. It isn't helping. I mean, it is, but there's other work I have to put in, other things I have to apply to myself to actually work on healing and actually changing myself than just what I was doing. Of just not talking to guys at all wasn't gonna cut it. I need to actually put the work in and not just, okay, I'm gonna lay here in bed. It's like as if I was put in a coma, honestly. If I put myself in a coma and think the times pass, I wake up and okay, things are different. Like, no, everything else around me is different. Everyone else around me has changed. Everyone else looks older. Just because I've been in a coma for 5 years, it doesn't mean that I changed. You know, I still am the same person when I wake up. And that's the mode that I've been in, and I don't wanna be in that mode anymore. I don't wanna keep rekindling with this person and I'm the same person, but he's changed. That's just not how it works. To this, I wanna say, I don't know who all remembers last year or even just on my TikTok of my free agent season that I started. And the reason I started was because free agent season was kind of my version of hot girl and that girl. Okay, I felt like it was a healthy balance between the two. And I wanted to create it to work on myself and have a community of girls, building ourselves up, becoming, the girl and just all of that, right? My YouTube intro, literally says like, "Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Kennedy, and as always, I'm not that girl, I'm not the it girl, I'm the girl, and you can be her too if you join my team." And the biggest thing about free agent season is about everybody coming together and healing and finding ways to better ourselves and become the best, versions and our best me's. So me and my mom say every day, be your best me all the time, which means like be your best self. And that's what it was for. And I realized this week after interacting with him and realizing that I was in the same place, that I really for myself, not just for this like movement I want among other girls, I need to do that. And the reason it's called free agent season is because free agents in sports, rather they have a team, rather they're assigned, have a new contract, whatever, whether they even get one in the future or they don't, they're always playing, always training, and always working on themselves to be the best version of themselves, regardless of of their circumstances. And so I feel like, regardless of us dating an athlete, dating a guy in general, regardless of being single, married, whatever, we need to always constantly be working on ourselves to better ourselves and regardless of our status. So that is why I say we need to be like free agents, okay? And I started this last like April or May, and I didn't take it seriously myself, but now I want to because as I said before, it has not it even if this guy is not my person, that is okay. But whoever he is, he deserves the best version of me, and I deserve that kind of love. And I don't truly believe that God's going to give me that love that I need until I've done the work. And I don't believe that I have to be completely healed and perfect, to meet this person that God wants for me. The point is, my actions can't be affecting another person just because I haven't done the beginning steps. I feel like I'm so far off from the girl, the woman, and who God wants me to be right now because I'm so damaged and broken that until I work on those things, then I'm not going to get there. So I'm going to start journaling daily, doing my meditation, doing different things to heal and being productive. And we can talk about it if you guys want. I can have a little series discussing it on here, on my YouTube, whatever you want, TikTok. But the point is, I realized through this whole talk, with friends about the right person, right time, learning about distinguishing between God's voice and all of this, that really I believe in the right person at the wrong time. I do. And I feel like you get that right person in God's time. And when you get the right person in God's time, you can't get there unless you're doing things of God, unless you're healing how God wants you to. And honestly, you also have to be careful and watch out for the devil. because you can mistake in God's time for really the devil's time. And we don't want that at all. I really hope you guys have maybe just got to just listen. Maybe you didn't learn anything this episode at all, but I really want you guys just to sometimes just sit and just listen. I want to have a girl talk. I just want to chat sometimes. I got feedback last week about last week's episode. I mean, I asked the girl about it, but it was a little rambly, and hopefully today wasn't too rambly. But honestly, I think a lot of people come to me for advice, and you can come to me for advice. That's not what I'm saying. But like my podcast episodes are more like girl talks. I envision all of us sitting around in a locker room, this really cute pink locker room, and we're all just talking and just sharing. And that's what I like to do. I like to just share. And I feel like people want more of a scripted tip one, tip two, tip three. And honestly, I'm just not that kind of creator. And I tried to do that today when I was outlining a couple other episodes, but that's honestly not me. Um, and I'm okay with that. But what I do want is a community where other girls can just hear the crap I go through and be like, wow, I go through that too. And sometimes you can learn from just hearing my stories. And I just want to share with you guys what I've experienced, and maybe you learn something or not. Another thing I'm going to start practicing is praying before I come up with podcast ideas and episodes, because I learned about you need to pray over your craft to hear God's voice, and he can give you whatever message you're supposed to share. So I'm also going to try that. I have a lot coming up in my life, just so you know. Next Friday, I have to figure out doing next week's episode. I'm going to try to, but on the 22nd, I head back to Kansas City for a bit before I go off. I got a new job so before I go off to work training. So I am trying to see if you'll have an episode next week. I'm going to try to get one sooner. Just have to record it before I leave because I am traveling on the 22nd. So we'll see. I'm going to go away. I'll be staying somewhere else for a month. We'll see. But I just want to let you know that you might have an episode next week, you might not. I don't know yet. It's just kind of based off my schedule. But thank you guys so much for listening. As always, be sure to follow on the Instagram. Go to KCLockerRoomTalk.com if you want to get any merch, at KCLockerRoomTalk on the Instagram. And I love you guys so much. See you next week. Bye.